building up funnels. Then we're going to answer questions. Happy Friday, everybody. I'll start over. So we'll get started here in just a minute. And James and I talked briefly what we're going to do, and when Braden hops on, is help you guys with anything and everything you have with funnels. So this is going to be Q&A. It's going to be talking about best practices. It's going to be talking about your current funnel. It's going to be talking about if you're new and want a funnel build out. Got some good news on some testimonials. Recently, if y'all saw Sharon on last week, not sure if she's on today, but on last week with 3 listings and 3 buyers, and she's had multiple closings prior to that. So we'll talk a little bit about best practices. Also, if you're new here and are just considering getting a funnel, it'd be Q&A on that. We can answer anything and everything. We've been at this for years, and just super excited to have Braden on helping our group build up funnels. Also, just so you'll know, if you already have a funnel, and like Sharon's in the process of moving up in price point and funnels. So one thing we talked about on a coaching call with her was, hey, we're not going to interrupt what's working. So, 3 buyers, 3 listings, 2 recent closings, other, closings coming right up. But what we're doing with her is we're going to leave that funnel alone, just like Jay Kenders taught us, but we're going to leave that funnel alone. She has a good oil well pumping over here, have that funnel dialed in. And now she's going to go to, it looks like an acre plus property funnel. So that's one strategy in moving up in price point. So if you already have funnels, having success with it, let's talk about the next funnel. And then if we need to, we can do a one-on-one, or James and I'll hop on a call with you, just whatever we need to do to help you. But that's just a little bit of thought for you. What are your thoughts, James? And then we'll get Braden on here and get this party started.
Yeah, man. This is the time where, you're able to ask questions regarding lead generation and, building funnels, converting the leads when they come in.
You're muted. I think you muted halfway through that.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah. Building funnels, converting the leads when they come in. That's a big one as well.
Yeah, I muted again. I don't know. Maybe it's just on my end. I don't know.
It's your end. I could hear him.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, William.
But anything, real estate related, we can answer those questions as well. But the main thing is lead generation, lead conversion. That's if you master that part of it, rest of it is downhill. So we'll get into this a little bit. How many people, I'm just trying to get a feel for the room, how many people are actually doing funnels right now, running funnels?
I just started one about a month ago. Okay. It was with Andre's virtual assistant's help, but I watched a video that Jay did and set it up. So
awesome. Anybody else?
I've been doing it for a couple of years.
Sharon, okay, good.
Hey, good to see you on, Sharon. Thank you for your help and support on here. Since you're having a lot of success with funnels, we appreciate you hopping on and helping people figure out if they want a funnel, or if they, like I mentioned with you, maybe do a next funnel or move up in price point. So yeah, looks like maybe a month or so and you'll do an acre plus property funnel, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah. When you get back from build in where is that you're going? Michigan. Yeah.
Pontiac, Michigan. Yep.
I'm excited for you. I should be there, but I won't be. So you'll have to tell me all about it.
I will. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, give you a chance to meet Lisa. And Sharon's on a prospecting call group in the mornings, and on Monday she calls mostly or partially her her funnel leads and cleans up her task and things like that. So
yeah, I have a closing on Wednesday as a result of it, and I have 2 other listings. And they're all three are buying a home. Not to mention all the other closings I've had, and I've had 3 this year so far. Like I mentioned last, I've had 3 so far this year from it. So definitely works. It's definitely worth my money and my time.
Yeah, pretty low cost ROI and high return.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, Sharon. Like what are you paying, like on a monthly basis, for that funnel?
I pay $300 to 450.
Okay,
Right now
So-
I'm at 300 a month.
so we talk about $300 a month. How much was the 3 closings commission wise?
Well, they're like, I don't know, 10 grand, I guess. They're or the prices are like 475, 435, and 350. And they're all 3%.
Yeah. So
Can't beat that.
300 times 12, that's $3,600. And you've had 3 closings at
37.
10 grand a pop, that's 30 grand. That's a pretty good return on investment.
Yeah.
And you got another 3 of them that, you're closing another one today, or you said, this week or
Wednesday.
something. And then you got another 2 listings.
Mhm. And they're all buying homes too, so those are double. As soon as they get their homes, sold, then they'll be able to buy a home.
Yeah, so that's, if we're going, that was another 6 deals. If we're saying those are 10 grand a piece, that's another 60 grand. So basically $100,000 off a $3,600 investment. I would definitely say that's worth the investment.
I mean, it's a lot of, phone calling and staying on people and follow up.
You ain't getting that. You
like
ain't
that-
getting that on Zillow. I know that.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm glad you said that because it is work, right? So we're not chasing shiny objects here. And this isn't a miracle system that you just swipe a credit card and pay for some ads and then you start heading to closing. I'm actually working on something like that I'll update you guys on later with AI, but that's like for in a month or 2.
Sounds nice.
But, yeah, so we'll talk more about that down the road. But actually, when that works for the agents that I'm working on, it's going to be because of the leads that came in through the funnels. So it's like, the AI wouldn't work for leads to percolate closings to the top if we didn't have the leads in the database anyway. So yeah, I'm real glad you pointed that out, Sharon. We're not chasing shiny objects here. When I first started talking about this opportunity, I said, look, so really high ROI and really low risk, and it's some work. So, and also encourage her to keep doing what she's doing because she likes to flip a few houses and likes to do a little, commercial here and there. And she has her own business besides the funnels. So this wasn't replacing any of that. It was just an add-on. And the plan was to get to about an extra deal a month. And then once we're there, then we'll get to 2. And Sharon's already seeing some of the snowball effect. And recently she said, well, I picked up a buyer, but it was indirectly. And I said, what do you mean by that? And she said, well, I got a listing from the funnel. I did an open house. A buyer came by and we're like, okay, that's cool. So great job being a real estate agent, but also you wouldn't have the buyer if you didn't have the listing. You didn't have the listing if you didn't have the new construction funnel running. And I love the fact that we're looking at somewhere close to 50%, maybe 30, it kind of depends on the area, 30 to 50%. And I did talk to Michelle Young. She just recently started doing this. She had her first closing June 6th, and she's not even 60 days in the process. And so what was that? That was like, she had a closing relatively fast. And
460. I talked to her yesterday.
yeah, talk more about that, Brady.
Yeah, I talked to her yesterday. She's just following the process, and she had a closing. I think it was either 430 or 460 buyer that came through. I'm not exactly sure on the time frame of how long that came in. But a lot of times I'm seeing people put deals, under contract within 3 months, given that they follow the process. I would say probably 60% of these leads that come through are in a 3 to 6 months time frame, and that's just kind of based on what I see. Also, statistically speaking, the averages of what you would see on an internet lead. But I'm seeing people put deals under contract prior to that too, though. So I think the main thing on that though is the following the process, the conversion process.
Stephon got his hand raised. He got a question.
What's up?
Hey, so I'm newer here and I'm trying to begin my funnels and stuff like that. And I was trying to like kind of do like a testing, if you will. But one issue I was having was for whatever reason my payment wasn't going through on my like Google business thing in my ads manager. I was having issues with that. And then two, I wanted to know, is there like a book that we can get? I feel like I remember seeing that when I was onboarding with my sponsor with Honey Badger Nation to like kind of outline this, or if I can get like a schedule a one-on-one time with somebody to kind of walk through how to set all this stuff up so I can start getting my funnels going.
Yeah, couple things. So probably just wrap that all up in one. We need to get our first strategy call booked, and then I can take a look at what's going on with the ads manager in terms of getting the card on file to go through. You said two different things, just to clarify. You mentioned Google, and then you mentioned Facebook Ads Manager, two separate things.
I meant Facebook, so I didn't say Google at all.
Yeah, so no, all good. I just wanted to make sure because I don't know much about Google or anything going on with that. But in terms of the Ads Manager, yeah, sometimes we do have some minor issues with getting cards set up, and if there's been fraud or anything prior to what we're trying to do, there may be some issues, but we can definitely get that resolved. I just need to take a look at it, so I need to get a strategy call book.
All right, that sounds good. And how can I book that with you? Or whoever does it.
Let me.
Just out of curiosity, who's your sponsor?
Yeah, that's what
Craig Nash. I can go back to. I can call Craig. That's fine.
Yeah, no big deal. We just try to work the system, and
Yeah.
that way the weight doesn't crush one of us. But yeah, call Craig if he needs help. He'll call James, and
Okay.
And then, James needs help. He'll call me, and we'll call Brady.
All right, that's fine.
That's pretty cool though, really. I mean, what I just said, and I'm not even really kidding, is you got Craig, James, myself, and Braden's help.
Yeah.
So, but we just try to, not have the system crush one of us. But that's the
For sure.
best practices. But he can always reach out to us as well. So thank you for following the system there.
Oh, absolutely. Thank y'all.
Yeah, appreciate you. Thanks for hopping on. Hey, I did notice in the chat, Sheree, we got on yesterday with Braden and just had her funnel build out. So, Sheree, can you unmute? I know you just started, but you said you had 3 leads, you already called them. So, what's your initial
Yeah,
thought?
so we just got that thing running last night. It was yesterday evening, Eastern time anyway. And I've got 3 good looking leads that have come in since then. Should I have already called them? You said I've watched my conversion video, but didn't that say I gotta watch it again? But didn't that say like 3 days? Let the system do.
The best practices document. First thing on there it says is call the lead within 5 minutes. So that's best practice, right? Is and just to kind of go through this and clarify for everybody, I see that these leads prefer texting more so than they want to get on the phone. The truth of the matter is that these leads typically don't know who you are, which means we don't have a relationship with them. And I mean, just taking into your own personal experiences, how many calls do you answer that are not saved as a contact record in your phone, right? So point being is there's going to be a 2-minute text that goes off when a lead comes in. Okay. That's on the first day. The second day, they're going to get another text. The best case scenario is that they respond to that text. If they do not respond to that text, then yes, I say let the 2-minute text go off, give it about 5 minutes. If the lead doesn't respond to that text within 5 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes, somewhere in there, right? Because it shouldn't take them that long to respond if they're going to. If not, go ahead and pick up the phone and call them, right?
Okay.
And then go from there. That's best practice there. But just to kind of piggyback off of that, I see that communicating and really trying to cultivate a relationship through text first is really best case scenario, as opposed to calling them right away. I have some people that just want to call right when the lead comes in. No, let the text go off, see if we get a response. If we get a response, cool. Let's take that conversation and try to, what I call, extract as much information out of these leads as we possibly can, meaning what is your criteria, bed, bath, price range, specific areas you're looking for, what's your time frame, right? You're looking to do something, and really just positioning yourself in a very non-threatening way that, hey, listen, if you share with me your criteria, I'm going to send you a list of homes that fit that criteria. I'm also going to keep you updated with all of the properties that go price reduced, the newly listed ones, and the ones that move off market as well. And I think that's kind of how you get to building that, what we call know, like, and trust, right? We get to demonstrate that, hey, we listened to what you said you needed. We delivered on that, right? We're not over here just trying to sell you something. We're actually able to provide the, the solution to what you need. And so that's how I suggest kind of handling it. But everybody kind of has their own way of going about it.
Did you say 5 minutes? The text, or when does the first text go out?
First
2
text
minutes, I
goes
think.
off in 2 minutes, but I say that, give that 2-minute text about another minute or two, right? Which puts you at about around a 5-minute time frame of that lead coming in and getting a text to call them, right? If we don't get a response from that text, then let's go ahead and pick up the phone. Because what you're trying to do is, like I said, the best case scenario is that we kind of get a text conversation going because it's less threatening. But we don't want to wait 30 minutes when, they're off their lunch break or they put their phone down and now it's not in their hand or whatever. So give it a little bit of time for them to respond to the text if they will, or if they're going to. And if they don't, then go ahead and pick up the phone and call them. And that's typically around about 5 minutes from when they come in.
My
Hey, just
text,
to be clear, Brandon, you're
Awesome.
talking about the automated the campaign, right? The automation text that they get since they click your link, right? So you're not talking about a text I send, you're talking about a text that the system sends. Is that correct?
Text that the system sends, yes.
Yeah.
but mine's
KV
like-
Core. Yeah.
Yeah, mine's like
Right.
2 hours. It's not 2 minutes. So I don't know if you
Okay.
did or something.
If it's not 2 minutes, then it was adjusted. You can actually go to your campaigns right now if you wanted to and see when the time frame is. But
Yeah, I know how to do that, by the way. If you need help, Sharon, it's right there. Like he says, when you click campaign, it's just below it, whatever campaign you're on. It shows exactly what it does. And you can tap on whichever one that is and adjust it.
Okay.
Hey, Sheree, is your lender on here?
I don't know, Tyler, you hear he was gonna try to get on, but he was also gonna be driving, so he could be he's
Okay. Yeah,
he
I don't
could
see
be
him.
busy. Yeah, I don't see him.
The reason I ask that is just to make others aware that Sheree has a lender paying for ad spend. And if you need help with that, get with us. Sheree, I'll get with you next week on Tim made me aware of some best practices. Maybe
let's touch on that a little bit, Dan.
Mhm.
Essentially what we're doing, and just to be transparent, Sheree is, her lender is not actually quite set up yet. There's going to be a point to this conversation outside of what I'm going to say right now, which is you need to get your lender set up, even if they're not paying ad spend, because of the way that we can build this. But one thing about this, guys, is that at the end of the day, getting a lead that comes in that's wanting to buy is one thing, but getting financing put in place and making sure that we have a lender that's working on our team or on our behalf, right, that's also helping us solidify this relationship is pretty important as well. And so we've built this in a very streamlined way where when a lead comes in and we determine that they do need financing, that you can go ahead and tag the lender in. What's going to happen is that lender has its own KV Core portal, meaning they can log in and see the lead. They can see the properties that they're looking at. They can see pretty much everything you can see from the agent side of things. But you can tag the lender in. And what I like to do is have it set up where there's a text that goes off that kind of intros the lender. That also lets them know we sent them an email. And then within that email, we have another introduction, a little more in-depth introduction, excuse me. That also has the mortgage application. So their specific mortgage application where they can start that process, or a calendar link where they can book a call with that lender if they would rather do it over the phone. And so that Sheree's not set up with that quite yet, just because KV Core hadn't got the lender account information over for him to log in.
We got it taken care of now, though.
Did we?
Yes.
He got logged out.
Yeah, as soon as we were done, I called him and they told us to just go in there. It sometimes the system just doesn't, or the welcome email gets lost or takes a while. So he said to go in there and click forgot password, and it sent him a reset on it. He got in.
Sweet. So that means I think we have a 3-day review call booked that we'll want to make sure once we get done with our review that we go ahead and just get his side set up. So if you'll make sure he's on that review call with us, if you don't mind.
I will. Yep,
Okay.
you bet.
But the point of guys of all that was, outside of what I said, was, go ahead and get your lender set up now. There's a blue chat box in the corner when you log into KB Core where you can ask a question and then just say, hey, add a lender is really all you need to type in there. And I believe, Shree, if I'm not mistaken, it sends you a form. You add all the contact information, phone number, email, all that good stuff.
Yep.
And
Yep.
then
It's easy. You just tap it in the chat and it posts the form for you and you can fill it out right there and submit it.
And so the point of that is it takes a few days, apparently, right, to get that all up and going. And so you could go ahead and be one step ahead there on getting that done. Like I said, regardless if they're paying for ad spend or not, because at the end of the day, getting a lender to help out with ad spend is great, but getting a better conversion rate because we have a lender that's partnered with us just on the side of things of speaking good on your name and saying, hey, this is the agent that you should be using kind of behind the scenes when they're talking financing is always best case scenario as well too. So don't think just because they're not partnering with you on ad spend doesn't mean that you shouldn't have them in there in the system and trying to streamline that process to help with conversion.
As I begin to get ready to approach my lender to ask him to pay for part of it. So I know there's $200 and he can pay half of that, but what is it exactly that I'm telling him that he's paying for?
Well, first off, let's clarify on the ad spend budget. We suggest spending $10 a day, which is actually going to be $300. Which you are right. Legally, he can pay half of that, which would be $150. But essentially, what he would be partnering with you on is the ad spend, what it costs to actually generate the lead. The best case scenario, guys, is that you kind of utilize me to get on a call and show them what that looks like and let me kind of make them feel comfortable about it, just as I can speak knowledgeably about the process and what it would look like. And us ultimately get that partnership is ideal, right? So that's kind of how I would suggest it. But I would say, hey, listen, are you, the good thing about this is, with new construction, there's kind of a pro and con to this. One, it is buyer focused leads, right? So, lenders are typically, open to that. The downside with new construction, the con to this is that, in a lot of cases, in almost every case that I've ever seen, I guess, when it comes to getting the incentives that a builder may be offering, you do have to use their lender, which when I was in production, unfortunately, my lender got kicked out of a ton of deals. Because we needed closing costs and, he just couldn't compete. Your lender is not going to be able to compete with these builders' lenders. There's no way. And so that's kind of the downside to this, but there's also opportunity, and something to kind of think about is there's new construction, which is a good funnel to run. There's also the just listed ad, which is a really good funnel to run. Speaking on, hey, these are just the recently listed homes that you may have not seen yet, which is speaking directly to that motivated buyer that's trying to do something pretty quick. And so if you wanted to split ad spend, meaning, hey, I'm the agent, I'm going to pay $300 on a new construction funnel. Hey, you're the lender and going to pay half on the just listed funnel. That's a good way to go, two different funnels there and make that lender feel a little bit better about investing into something that's not going to have him kicked out on the back end when it comes to them trying to utilize that builder's lender, if that makes sense. So there's kind of something I've seen people do, just to get more leads coming in and, potentially have that ad spend covered by the lender. Or, realistically just going just list it all together, right? As opposed to doing anything new construction if you're, in that situation where you really need to get a lender to help out. So kind of a few different options there with that, but that would be my suggestion.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions on the automation. So I created a funnel and I have the automation. Should we be turning off the behavioral automations? Because it just seems like it's duplicating a lot. And then
no, I don't think that the behavioral automation should be turned off. To answer that in short, I'll kind of explain my perspective on it, and to let everybody kind of understand what behavioral automation is, I guess I'll go through it. So, there's automation in terms of drip campaign that we put in place, meaning specific texts and emails that are built into the campaign that we assign when the lead comes in. Behavioral automation is more so something that's built into KB Core that is more standardized, I guess, for a lack of a better way to say that. But essentially what that means is that there's several different behaviors that a lead could do in the system that is going to justify why it would send a text or an email. And I believe that it sends the text or the email based on if we have phone number or the email address. For example, one of those you may have seen is a lead favoriting a property, revisiting the site after 5 days, I believe it is, or something along the lines of that. There's several of them in there. I believe there's 5. But essentially, yeah. So the behavioral automation, that's kind of what it looks like, what it does. My thing is that, you know, once I've made contact with the lead and I've justified, hey, based on conversion process and best practices, that the disposition is an active lead, which means that I should have a task set in alignment with their time frame on when I'm following up with them next. Realistically, if something was to trigger a behavior, that means they're doing something in the system that I should probably follow up with that lead prior than the task that's set to do in the future. Meaning if they favorite a property, that means, hey, I may have a task set for 2 weeks or a month out or however far out, but if they're in their favorite in properties, one, that's going to send a text out and then try to engage that lead based on that specific behavior that they did, which I really like, right? It's speaking directly to that lead, directly to that behavior. But it also means that it's kind of like, you know, identifying something that, you know, where a lead may be looking to do something sooner than when they said they were really going to do something, right? So, you know, that's kind of why I like it, because who knows, you may have told me 3 months, but guess what? Things change. I didn't have a task due for another 2 weeks. But if my behavioral automation wasn't on, I wouldn't have known that you were in their favorite in properties. And now I don't know that your time frame really moved up from 3 months to now a month. And so I could have potentially lost that lead, right? Or not have followed up quick enough. So that's just kind of an example of why I would leave it on. Some of those behavioral automations I do think are maybe a little more beneficial than the other ones. Favoriting a property can kind of get, you know, repetitive if they're in there.
You can change those as well. So I've changed my behavioral automations as well based on what they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I'll say with that is you can adjust that based on their dispositioning, right? So maybe I just want it for all of my prospects and not my active leads. The problem with that is, though, is I do want it for my active leads, though. But you do have the option to change that, and you do have the option to turn several of those 5 off. You know, turn any of those 5 off that you don't want on. So if you don't want the one from them revisiting the site, you know, you could turn that one off, or favorite in a property. Or I think there's another one that like viewed 3 properties or 5 properties in the last week or something like that. You could turn one of those off if you didn't really like it. But to me,
I changed the wording of mine because I felt like the wording was a little conflicting with the other stuff I was sending. So anytime they're favored in a property, my automation says, hey, I saw you checking out that property. Is that something you're interested in seeing? And then they usually respond to it.
I'm going to question you there on is what you said, which is where I'm kind of a little bit lost on that. Is it's conflicting and conflicting. I'm curious to know why, because realistically, once you make contact with the lead, there should be no more automation outside of search alerts and market report. What my theory has always been, or perspective has always been, value, right? Your newsletter, your search alert, your market report, whatever it may be, that would be ever going to a lead outside of a behavioral alert once you've made contact, right? So
because sometimes when you make contact and then you reach out to them again and then they stop responding. So sometimes when you do make initial contact with them and you get them set up and you know what they're looking for, but then if they go cold, those behavioral alerts will jump back at them. And sometimes it's like the wording. I feel like the wording that KV Core used was like, I forgot exactly what it said before, but when I changed mine to, is that a property that you're interested in seeing? Gotcha. That is when it perked them up to re-engage with me. So I've been getting really good re-engagement with those. Gotcha.
Yeah. I'll be honest, a lot of the stuff, really, even the behavioral automation, and the truth be told, you to my knowledge, this is new to me. I didn't even know you could edit the behavioral automation. You can edit. That has to be something pretty new, because I don't know if it's new, because I did this a while ago. It's in the marketing tab.
where it lets you do the, you can set your alerts for like when you get a new lead in. You can change it for, but it's in that tab. It's in that all marketing tab.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it helped to re-engage. So I would say leave them on, but rearrange the wording a little, just kind of make it a little more engaging for them.
Yeah, their wording is not, for just best way to describe it would be generic.
Very generic. People ignore it, but once I changed it to just a short, quick, are you interested in seeing any of those?
Yeah,
they perk right up. They think it's me texting them, and they'll answer.
100%. I agree with that 100%. And she's right. When she's talking about there's a just being transparent. There's a little flaw to this system, which is, what happens when I make contact with the lead and we're having a good conversation, but maybe I don't get, tasks set on when I should be following up with them next because I didn't get time frame. I do see that being it's somewhat of a threat here and there, because you may be having a great conversation, but then, through text at least, and then, we didn't get time frame nailed down. So I don't know when to set the task, because the whole principle of this is that every lead that I've made contact with, I should have another task set on when I'm following up with that lead. And so one thing you should be wary about is the leads that I don't get a time frame. If you go to the best practices, you'll see in the best practices that based on their time frame, there's a task. It'll determine when your next task should be set. For example, inside of 30 days should be a bare minimum of a 1 week task, right? 1 to 3 months should be a 2 week task. 3 to 6 months, 3 week task. 6 months to a year is a 1 month task. So based on their time frame. And so the point of that is that in the case that maybe I'm having a conversation and I didn't get time frame nailed down, how am I going to be able to set a task? And you got to be wary of that, because what that means is that lead may be you may have dispositioned it as an active lead, but it'll ultimately fall through the cracks because you didn't get a task set. And when you're following up with them again, because you never got time frame, or they went ghost and you didn't get some piece of information you needed to be able to set the task, which is typically time frame. So that's another thing to kind of take into consideration, because I would say I would probably be reviewing my conversations of any of the leads that may have come through and I'm talking to at the end of each day. And this may be actually something that's good to add into the process, but ultimately just saying, hey, okay, well, I had a good conversation. Now this lead's kind of gone ghost. I still want to make sure I set a task to try to re-engage with this lead within a good, short period of time, maybe a day or 2 or 3 days, to try to reconvene and get that conversation going again if I never got time frame nailed down. But the point of that is just kind of be wary of that, because if not, no task ever gets set. And unless that lead comes back into the system and the behavioral automation does something, is triggered, there's really no more engaging content going to that lead outside of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and that's why that property alert is super important too. So, my first call is really a thank you. Then it's reciprocity. Hey, I'm giving you what you want. Let me correctly set up your property alert. So it's more of instead of me coming, and you can do it however you want. I'm not saying that's the right way to do it, but I've been doing this for years and years, even prior to me being at EXP for 6 years with Commissions Inc. And it was really, thank you. Here's all they care about, right? The best house, best price, least amount of house. They don't really care, generally speaking, about me. So I call them and thank them, kind of puts them on, hold mentally for a second, and then I let them know that I want to give them what they want, which is only properties that fit their exact home buying criteria. And I have a couple quick questions, and then I just go right into it. So city, price range, time frame. Bed, if I can get those 3, I can set you up on a halfway decent property alert, and bed and bath. And that way, if they do ever disappear, or if their timing's not right, or if they decide not to sell, or if they decide to redo their lease, then when they come back on, if I can't get a hold of them, then they're back on my dashboard looking at properties down the road. And then I know, hey, something happened in their life. And I get texts, right? You get texts in KV Core saying so-and-so just came back after 14 days.
That is behavioral automation there, guys. You do get notified, right? Hey, behavioral automation went out. Lead did something in the system that justified a behavioral automation to go out. Whether it's text or email to that lead, you'll get it, I believe, on a text. But you'll get that notification. Another thing that's part of the process, guys, is reviewing dashboard activity, right? I think there's kind of several priorities that you should be focused on each day. Realistically, if you were to be perfect at it, you would have it time blocked of when you were doing it each day. first thing I talked about before, which is, reviewing my tasks that are due for the day, right? Hey, let me make sure I don't have anything that's conflicting today with when I set those tasks out, maybe a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a month ago, whenever it may have been. Second thing there is moving into your new leads, right? Hey, do I got any new leads that came in from yesterday evening when I put up shop at 6 p.m. to this morning and now at 9 o'clock? Oh, I've got 2 or 3 new leads. I need to look through those and get those dispositioned or handle those appropriately. The third thing is, which I'm making the point of, is reviewing dashboard activity. We should be reviewing dashboard activity each day once we work through our new leads and we make sure we've got our task at least scheduled or handled and nothing's in the way of those, to determine, hey, this lead looks like it's doing something that probably justifies me reaching out to them prior to when my task is due. May have a task due in a month, but he was in the system for an hour last night looking at 30 different properties and he favorited 5 of them. Well, something's probably up. Something's probably changed, right? And if not, I'm at least going to find out, right? So that's another thing, is just reviewing that dashboard activity each day to see if there's anything that I call it ammunition, which is 2 or more views. If you look at the little square there of the view, there's a phone and then a desktop. 2 or more, regardless if it's 1 on the phone, 1 on the desktop, 2 on the phone, 2 on the desktop, 2 or more justifies me reaching out to that lead. Because what you have to understand with that, guys, is that I've sent you an email, you've opened the email, you scrolled through, you've clicked on this property, you've now got out of that email, probably got another 100 emails in between that, came back to that email, scrolled through there and found that property again. That's a pretty good reason as to why I would probably follow up on a lead of that had looked at a property twice. So that I call ammunition. Favoriting properties I call ammunition, meaning it's giving me ammunition to reach back out to people. Hey, I noticed you were looking at 123 Main Street. Just wanted to touch base, see if you had any questions about it, see if anything news going on in your world, right? Something like that. So that's another thing that you should be doing each day, and time blocking some time, at least 20, 30 minutes is going through and reviewing your dashboard activity.
Hey, just real fast, we're out of time or I forget. I'm pointing out opportunities here, right? So there's a lot more to this than just me getting leads in. Personally, I'm getting leads in, I'm referring them out. So Keena and Cicely are on here. Keena's a team lead, and they're doing this to generate leads for the team. Right. So you can build a whole team with this system also. So if anyone needs help, want to have a higher level conversation about this opportunity, just reach out to me and I'll be happy to do that with you. But just want to kind of point that out before we ran out of time. All right. Any other questions?
For the daily call, again, I'm new, so I'm learning things. Would I turn off the daily calls? The daily call creation? Because it seems like you just create.
Yeah, I never really used the daily call creation. I didn't really like it. It didn't really mesh with my process of what I built. So I did actually turn it off.
Yeah, makes sense, because I get so many extra things to do out there, and I'm like, yeah, it's already on my task because I'm working the lead. So
exactly. So that's kind of like the thing with me, is that when I don't really need something creating a call for me when I already know I have a task that's set. Now, guys, I'm pretty knowledgeable about this system, but I don't know everything, and I'll never act like I do. But there might be something to investigate with that, with kind of what I was piggybacking off what I said earlier, which was, what about the leads that, that we don't set a task for, right? Those call creations, maybe of creating calls, that's something we should look at, Dan. Because there might be a way to utilize that to cover the bases or have a safety net for those leads that maybe we don't get a task set or whatever, but it still does a call creation to reach back out to that lead. If you kind of understand what I'm saying here, essentially meaning we didn't get time frame, we didn't get a task set, we had good conversation, it's probably dispositioned as an active lead, but I don't know when I'm following up with them next, but at least the call creation has set a call reminder for me to reach back out to that lead. That might be something to investigate and take a look at.
Yeah, I'm in there now. It doesn't have anything. It just says, yeah, if the lead is a prospect, new lead, or active, create the call, yes and no. That's all it has as options. And how many calls do you want to create a day?
Gotcha. I'll take a look at it and kind of see, because that is one thing, guys, that I do see happen is, based on the process, we have to know a time frame to get a task set. And if we don't get a time frame nailed down, meaning we could have had great conversation, oh, you told me your bed, your bath, your price range, where you were looking, but I never got a time frame from you. there's really nothing that's covering our bases, right, on when should I follow back up with this lead. And the problem is, like, you know, in the short term, it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal until you've got 3 to 5 leads coming in each day, and that happens, you know, every couple of leads, and then now you've got all these leads that you don't know when you're following up with, and they're not maybe looking at dashboard activity. So it can become problematic. That might be something we need to look at, or kind of trying to perfect that process, Dan. And I'll take a look at it, and we can maybe review that.
And I have one last question.
Yep.
When someone like opts out of cell phones or they start opting out, what do? Do you just archive?
Great question. Great question. Yeah. So a couple things. First off, right, what we need to understand is that when a lead comes through Facebook or Instagram, we're using the autofill form, which means that, you know, it's autofilling the phone number and the email. The cool thing about that is, one, I think it probably helps with conversion rate, or conversion of getting the lead through. Aside from that, though, what you need to understand is that maybe that's a phone number that they had back in 2013 and it's still associated with that account. They never updated it, or an email address that they don't utilize. So that's I'm just kind of sharing that to get into this next point, which is, when a lead comes in and it opts out, that might not mean that I have the right phone number, but I could have the right email address, or vice versa, which means I would never archive or delete a lead just because of one or the other is incorrect. Now, if it's the wrong phone number and they say, hey, no, this is not Joe Blow, okay, yeah, I'll remove the phone number. I'm going to continue to keep marketing to that email, or marketing to that lead through email, in hopes that I can get engagement from the email address, or vice versa. Maybe the email address, and very rarely ever will you see that the email address is not associated, associated with the contact record. And I think probably 99% of the time I've seen it, the email address in some way, shape, or form is associated with the contact record name in most cases, although it may not be one that they typically check very often. It could have been, the email address that they use more frequently back when they set up their Facebook account in 2012 or whenever it was, right? You typically run into that more so with the phone number. But point being is, yeah, maybe get the phone number out of there, delete the phone number if it's not the right phone number, but let's continue to try to market to this lead through email, especially due to the fact that the market report and the search alert are both going through email, right? So that's kind of the main thing with that, if that answers your question.
Yeah, I'm more talking about when they say stop, then you just kind of.
So yeah, here's what I say, guys, and some people like this and some people don't. This is what I always did, though. If I had a lead come through and they told me to stop, I picked up the phone and called them right there. Hey, I just wanted to let you know, hey, it's Braden Kidder with eXp Realty. Just wanted to let you know, I did get your message that you said stop, but I wanted to let you know this is a real agent on the other end of the line over here. I didn't want you to think that you were talking to a system. Just curious, did you get that list of homes I sent over to you? So one, I addressed what they said, but I didn't even really give them the opportunity to tell me if they really wanted to stop or not. I just went directly into asking, hey, did you get the list? Oh, well, yeah, I did get the list. Okay, well, tell me, were there any properties that you needed more information on, or you were interested in taking a look at? Oh, well, actually, yeah, I did, like whatever, right? So that's how I handled that. But the point of that is you need to pick up the phone and call them right there as soon as you get the stop. Now, don't continue to leave the automation on the texting, right? Make sure the texting, and it should automatically shut down. But I would always pick up the phone right away, because the assumption, guys, that in most cases of that is, since there is the stop and unsubscribe phrase at the bottom of the text, that they're talking to an automated system. And so when you call them and let them know, hey, listen, it's a real live agent on the other end of the line over here, that can kind of help with that. Now, I've also had some people, I just had a call the other day, 2 days ago, where they were telling me how they got cussed out because they did that. So, another thing with this is kind of let things roll off your shoulder and don't get too upset if the case happens where they really did want you to stop or unsubscribe and they're not happy with you. But I would say on the averages, it works out better that you pick up the phone and call them, and you'll have a good chance of at least kind of getting through to them and letting them know, hey, this is a real agent.
And then we archive them if they don't want anything to do with us.
Yeah, 100%. And I never delete leads. I was always the one that, about every 6 months or so, I would come through and shoot out a mass text to my archive leads. Maybe I had a couple hundred of them through a 6 month period or whatever. I would come in and do a mass text to all my archive leads. just seeing if anybody they knew or them themselves were in the real estate market needed anything. And I didn't get very many responses back, but I always got a couple here and there. So,
Perfect, thank you.
yep. Anything else?
Hey guys, how you doing today? I'm new here, but I was told there was a program for $97. So is it $300, not 97? Because I came to get the $97 one, but I'll figure out the three if that's what it is. How much does it cost to get
That's
started?
a good question for the band.
Yeah, who's your sponsor?
James, are you my sponsor? I don't know who my sponsor is.
Probably.
I'm with Levi. I'm on James' team.
Yeah, get with James or Levi. They'll help you with that. It's just a
And they'll tell me what to
it's
do.
really good one-on-one kind of question. So they'll get back with you on
Okay. Okay, no problem.
that. Okay.
Thank
Appreciate you. Yeah, love to help you out here. So keep coming back. What we're really doing here, everyone, is we're building a community of agents that want to do this. So we're not telling you don't do anything else, but this works. So it's been working for years and years. Works real well. If for some reason it wouldn't work for you, then we'll help you figure out what you're doing wrong to kind of tweak it so you can have success. So the whole reason for this is to increase agents' productions and income, and then to turn around and help, scalable and help other agents to do the same. So yeah, we'd happy to help you with that, Rose. I think it's just James or Levi get with you and we'll get that taken care of for you.
And to touch on something Dan just said there, guys, you know, it's not always, I would say probably majority of the time it is the agent, but there's always the case that maybe the strategy that, maybe you got a bitter taste in your mouth or you didn't have success with Facebook ads in the past or whatever it may be. There's a chance that maybe the strategy that you put in place first was not the best strategy you could have put in place. Maybe response rate wasn't there. Maybe cost per lead wasn't there. There's several things that could go into outside of you following the process dang near perfectly, but maybe still not having success with it, guys. So a big piece of this is always dialing in the right strategy, making sure we're looking at healthy supply and demand, making sure we're putting the right type of funnel in place that's going to put us in the best situation possible. So, don't think just because maybe you didn't have success in the past or you thought you were following the process perfectly or doing your best, you could have been there. It's not always just the agent. There's sometimes it is the strategy that you were running or the ad or funnel that you had in place. So just to kind of mention that.
How much does market area affect funnel price, cost per lead? Because I just ran your just listed one, and I'm not getting 2 to 3. I'm getting what is it, like 7?
Yeah, there's several things that play into it. Population size. The smaller the population size, can affect that. The price point. I would say price point probably affects more so than anything desirability of an area, because you have to understand that the higher in price point we go, the less people that we have that can afford that, right? So the less people that can afford that means the less people that would actually be willing to click on it on Facebook or Instagram. So that does play now, but also, the image that you use plays a big piece of that too. Does the property that we use, is it attractable to the mass majority or is it not? I've seen many cases where an image that we thought was going to work well ran us a $10 cost per lead, and we come in there and we switch the image to something different, and it came down to like a $2, $3 cost per lead. So there's multiple factors, but best case scenario is always just, let's pull the data, make a decision based on data, and let me make sure we got a good image in there. As long as we got those two things covered, typically you're going to be somewhere in the $2 to $4 cost per lead. Usually 2 to 3 is kind of what we shoot for, but some markets like California, I've seen, we tend to run a little higher, maybe like $4 to $5, but for the most part, you should be under $4 on a cost per lead, which puts you, on a $10 budget, somewhere between 2-3 leads a day.
Okay, so I would speak to my sponsor then to find out, to get with you, or
Yeah, that's what I would do. Yeah, talk with them. I don't want to act like I don't know, but I don't really know what there's some with kind of the whole sponsorship and what we're doing with everything, guys. But it's a good
And
question.
we're still figuring it out. We're in the
Yeah.
process of figuring it out. We're all this. Hey, somebody said that's a great example of how this is a process, right? So also these funnels and having success is a process and having more and more success. So, I coach agents and I tell them all the time that, no matter if it's this or something else, here's how this works. I mean, this or anything else is you do it and then you try to get a little bit better, tomorrow than you were today. And it's a process, not an event, right? So, we'll get there. Just like our second call, we'll have all these questions nailed down here in a week or two, if not sooner.
Cool. Any other questions, guys?
You want to take us out, James Massey, with your thoughts and we'll
No question is a dumb question, right? So
I was about to say I have like 1 million, but now is not the time. I'll do this gradually.
yeah, we'll cover a lot of those on our review call. That typically, by 3 days, guys, that's really, you've had a chance to go through the conversion process video. You've had a chance to review the best practices. You've also had leads coming in that you've been able to practice that on. Any of the questions that you have from there, obviously shoot me a text if they're urgent. Really, any question can be urgent, but a lot of that of us going through the 3-day review is us going to be getting into KV4 and reviewing what you've done and making sure and solidifying, right, that you really know what to do from there on out. So if there is any questions, ask them now, but for sure by Monday, we'll have all of those squared away for you.
Oh yeah. Awesome. I'm not worried about it. I promise I'm doing my part.
All right. Love to hear
it. That's a generic question. From the app, how does the system create search alerts from how people search on the app? Do you have any idea on that?
Meaning not in alignment with the search alert that we would have assigned based on them coming in from the form?
Yeah, yes. I'm testing the app. I just learned about it. So I had a family member sign up. They signed up and then it created a search alert. So they're not on my campaign at all.
So the first thing is that they would have to create an account, meaning they've come to your website and they did a search and they created an account, right? Once they've created that account, then they would have to opt in based on their search criteria to the search alerts. And that would be based on whatever criteria they put in there, which is a completely different process than what we're doing with the ads, because
right
when the leads come in from the ads, we have a specific search alert that's a broad property alert system, right? Just specific to, let's say, new construction. So the newly built option, the location that we're running it, no bed, no bath, no price range. That's broad, right? That is assigned to each of those leads as they come in, regardless, they all get it. And then from there, once you make contact, then you would go ahead and adjust that based on their criteria. But that would be how that would happen. They would have to create an account and then they would have to opt into the search alert based on whatever criteria they set up. Or it would be.
And it's weird because I just sent them a link and it automatically created it towards me, and then they just automatically got an alert. They didn't do any search alerts.
Gotcha.
So it is what I'll figure it out. Thank you.
Yep.
Who's your sponsor, William? Just out of curiosity.
Andre.
Okay.
Or Ingrid. They're both on the call.
Yeah, I promise it doesn't really matter so much. It's just more of a curiosity question. All right. So
hey Braden, for the people that haven't had a meeting with you just yet, can you kind of explain real quick what the normal criteria is to get on your schedule? And the first thing is you give them information to do their homework to get the data, right? And kind of just share what that process is. Yeah.
So, and this is something else that is kind of not ironed out, right, guys, Dan? But essentially, the first step of the process is us going to be doing about it tends to be 15, 30 minutes, depending on how many questions we have, but a strategy call. And that's going to be giving you the framework of what data to go pull, right? So we can make a decision based on data, right? So that's going to be the first call that we would have. From there, what happens is you kind of have 3 pieces of homework. You have your data that you have to go collect. You have your conversion process video that you need to go watch and take notes on. You have your best practices that you need to review, right? That document. And then from there, what ends up happening is we typically meet about a day or 2 later and do a build out. And at the beginning of that call, we're going to review the data together, make a finalized decision on ad type and location. Okay, we're going to do the build out, which will take us about 30, 40 minutes to get that put in place. And then the ad will be on, and you'll start generating leads that day. From there, we do a 3-day review where we come in after we give the ad about 3 days to run, to see what our cost per lead is, see if our strategy that we put in place is performing as it should. I'd say probably 90% of the time it does. We've almost got this pretty bulletproof when it comes to pulling data and making good decisions. But yeah, from there, you know, we're going to go through the KB core process with you. Just make sure you don't have any questions on that. Make sure you're getting that dialed in. And then depending, it's either a 7-day review from there or a 30-day review.
Thank you for hopping on the webinar today with Braden Kinder, James Massey, and myself. What I'd like for you to do, if you want to, is hop on my calendar for about a 10-15 minute. I block off 20 minutes on the call, but it's usually like 5-10 minute call, a strategy call. Be happy to answer any questions, tell you exactly how the program works, tell you about the free version, the low cost version, and well, it's the no cost. I don't like saying free, but no cost version, low cost version, and then how we can help you with consistent lead flow, consistent, predictable closings, adding about 1 to 2 closings additional to what you're doing a month to your pipeline. It's very realistic. A lot more to the program than we talked about today in the meeting. We also have weekly trainings. We have one-on-one. We have call groups. We have anything and everything you need to help you to be successful in this market and just to thrive. So give me a call, you can give me a call, 678-907-1853, or hop on my calendar. You can scan the QR code or just go to dansleadsclass.com/call. Schedule a call. Happy to talk to you, see if I can help you in your real estate business, and glad to help you any way I can. So hop on my calendar or give me a call. Talk to you soon.